In this video and the next few videos, we're going to be going over expanding and factoring. So let's figure out what role does this play. So we started our algebra with simple equations such as this, 2x plus 5 equals 7. And then we went into systems of equations where you might have two equations with x's and y's, but they were still linear. So 2x plus 3y equals 4, 3x minus 5y equals 8, stuff like this. Linear in the sense these are x to the first, y to the first, pluses and minuses. There's no xy terms, there's no x cubed, y, nothing crazy like that. And what we're going to do now is move into more complicated territory, more complex territory, and go from stuff like this to stuff like that, where now we have x squared. So this is going to be the study of quadratic equations. Quadratic means that there's a second power. So this is a quadratic equation. This may be a simple one, but anything where you see an x squared, something with a power of 2, that would be a quadratic. Even if, let's say, that's missing, all these are quadratics. All right, so that's our ultimate goal. We're going to have to back up a little bit and go into two specific skills. So you may not realize why is this stuff important, so that's why I'm mentioning this now. Ultimately, we're going to tie this in to our study of quadratic equations, but also a lot of other stuff, such as cool little tricky algebra problems. So it's not just this, but largely this will have an application here. All right, so expanding. So these will seem like very boring, almost dry skills, but these need to be super solid. So expanding, let's say you have x plus 4. Now, let's say we're doubling it. So that's 2 times x plus 4, so the 2 applies to both. That's the distributive property, so that would be 2x plus 8. So that's not what I mean by expanding in this video. In the context of this video, I mean we have two things that both have x's and numbers. So let's say x plus 7, x plus 2. So now, some of you may have learned how to do this in terms of FOIL. I'm not a fan of this acronym, but if it works for you, great. So this is first, outer, inner, last. I've never used this personally. I just do 1, 2, 3, 4. So what that means is 1, 2, 3, 4. Why did I do it in that order? These are both the leftmost, so left, 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 right, right, left, right, right. So that's how I think about it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So, and what we're doing is multiplying. So x times x, x squared. X times 2 is 2x. You don't want to write x times 2. We want to write the 2 first. That's the traditional way. 7 times x, 7x. And 7 times 2 is 14. All right. Now at this point, we are going to simplify this. And the only thing we can simplify, an x squared cannot be combined with an x term, and the number term can't be combined with anything. So the only thing we can do is right here, and we do that. So this x squared is very different from x. This might as well say y. You can't combine a y with an x. You can't combine different powers with other powers or no x terms. Okay, so we get this. So as part of this video, your guys' jobs is to get really good at doing this. So let's say we have x minus 5 times x plus 3. You would do x times x, x squared. X times 3, 3x. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. Whatever the sign is before the number gets incorporated into the multiplication. And then minus 15. That's negative 5 times positive 3. And then we can combine these. So that's minus 2x minus 15. And that would be your answer. All right, let's do one more. So let's say we have 2x minus 7. And this will be 3x minus 4. And let's even make that a negative 3x. So then we'll have negative 6x squared, minus 8x. Negative, negative, you're multiplying, that would be positive 21x. And negative, negative again is plus 28. And then we can simplify these two. So negative 8 plus 21 is positive 13x plus 28. Okay, this is stuff you might see in a traditional class. My 2 cents are, this is all great, you should know how to do this, but this just won't cut it for our purposes. Specifically, when you see this, I want you guys to be able to go straight to here without doing this. Why? Because notice, you're almost copying it. The only step you're doing is adding these 2 terms. So, and also it's not just about saving that little bit of time, it makes you better at visualizing how this works. So what I'd like you guys to be able to do is to do this term in your head. So that's the same way, so that's fine, negative 6x squared. And then realize to get the effect of both of these, there's 2 ways to get an x term. It's either these 2 or these 2. So you're going to do negative 8 plus 21 and get this directly in your head. All right, so if you can only do this and then simplify but not do this, then you haven't really gotten good at expanding. So you need to get to the point where you can go from here straight to here. So let's take this a little further. Here are the 3 most important expanding things you should be aware of. X plus y squared All right, so I would say you shouldn't even have to do these. You should have these memorized because they are so important and appear all the time. We'll do this once, but you should never ever do this again. Just have it memorized. All right, so that's x squared. That's an xy, that's another xy, so that's 2 xy's. Notice I'm not writing plus xy, and then simplifying it. We're going straight to this. This will improve your skills. Plus y squared. This one will work the same way. Except this time we'll have a negative xy and another negative xy, so the only difference is this will be a minus. Now this one is really important, and it looks almost like these 2, except one is a plus, one is a minus. The reason this is so cool is that when you do this, so plus y minus y, that's a negative y squared. That's a positive yx, a negative yx. These terms cancel when you multiply them. So there's nothing in the middle. This part drops out, so that's all you get. So again, you should memorize these 3. So a good exercise would be, let's say, doing x plus 4 times x plus 3. And by the way, they don't have to be numbers. You can even do x plus 2y, x minus 4y. So you could put variables and numbers however you want. Basically practice expanding these. So you can do x squared, 4x, 3x, that's 7x, and 12. All right. So you should be able to get to this without doing the preliminary step of plus 4x plus 3x plus 12. If you first need to do this, then as far as I'm concerned, you haven't learned to do this very well. All right, same thing here. This would be an x squared, then we have 2yx, negative 4yx. So that would be positive 2 minus 4. That would be negative 2, and then there would be a negative 8y squared term. So let's write that out. All right, so what I encourage you guys to do is, for expanding, memorize these 3 because they're super important, and that these 3 come out to be those. And then just make up anything, plus or minus anything, with variables and numbers, and practice doing this. All right, in the next video, we're going to go over factoring, where we're going to go backwards.